Happy Monday. How are you guys? Welcome to Fireside Chat with Kimberly. Thank you to Terra Seed, the sponsor for this week's talks. Prize packs for this month's contest have been graciously donated by Hodo Foods, Crofters Organics, Follow Your Heart, Cinnaholic, Orgain, Revolution Gelato, and Terra Seed. I invite my viewers to enter the monthly contest at virtualvegfest.com. Click on the contest tab for details. Entering is super easy just by liking and or subscribing to our social media and Virtual VegFest YouTube channel. You're entered to win one of these amazing prize packs. All right. Hi and welcome. So tonight we are talking about the language that we use as a post that I saw in a local group online, social media post. And it was a mom who had gotten a guinea pig for her child. Well, per the post, the dad is the one who had purchased a guinea pig, and the child didn't, thought it was fun for a little while, but then didn't want, the newness wore off, I guess. And so the mom was the one who was taking care of this guinea pig. And she posted that, just kind of to paraphrase, but there are specific words I'm going to use that she definitely posted. She was looking to find a new home for this guinea pig that she called this thing. And she was tired of being the only one who had any responsibility to it. And she just couldn't deal with it anymore. But she knew that she couldn't just let it out. So she needed to find someone who could take it. But she did call the guinea pig this thing a couple of times in her post. Yikes. I know that, a lot of laws still consider animals property. And so, based on legal jargon, uh, an animal would be considered it, not he, she, or they. But at the same time, when you live, so this woman, oh my gosh, the guinea pig is, I just said it so many times. Now it's like back in, anyway, sorry about that. So this guinea pig has been living in her home for months, she had said. I just don't get it how you can be so disconnected after spending time living with another species and not be able to see some kind of connection to the emotion that the guinea pig is having, and just like the little life that's being led by the guinea pig. Um, so I just wanted to kind of talk about the way that we talk about animals. And by the way, of course, as always, the rule here is that I am here. The rule is there are no rules, kind of. But I'm here to answer your questions. I come with a topic because we've got to have something to talk about. What if nobody has any questions that week? So I come with a topic, but you're always welcome to post in the comments. If you have a vegan lifestyle related question that isn't related to the topic I'm talking about, that is okay. I'm happy to answer that. But of course, if you have comments or questions about what I'm talking about, let's have a conversation. We had a great conversation last week. And so I'm excited to be back here and to have this conversation now with you. So, I grew up living with dogs. My parents are dog people. They live with a dog now, Shiba Inu. His name is Titan, and he came through acquisition from my brother. And at first, it's like the quintessential story, right? My dad was like, "We're too old. We don't want to live with any more pets. We've been through this already." And but Titan moved in and he's still there, and I'm pretty sure my dad likes Titan better than he likes my brother or I. So I grew up with, living with dogs, and I just always made that connection that the dogs that we lived with had emotions. I could tell or thought I could tell when the dog was having a good time, when he or she was happy, sad. I felt like they could feel when I was happy or sad. And I adopted a cat. I'd never lived with a cat before. I adopted Cookie back in 2008, late 2008. And she's like my baby. And we my husband and I, we live with three cats now. And just the idea that someone would view any of these magnificent little beings as it or this thing is really hard for me to wrap my head around. And I do try to put myself in other people's shoes and think about it. Like, what if I didn't have this insight into animals the way that I do? What if I didn't have these feelings and have this knowledge around veganism? Would I have read that woman's post and not have been intrigued by it or confused by it? I'm not sure. I'd love to hear from you guys. I want to, really have a talk about the way that we talk about animals. Um, when I talk about the cats who live here in my home, I use their names. Um, my husband and I call them, he, she, they. Um, Never once would it occur to us to say it, because they're not just they're not our property. They have as much interest in life as we do. So I also was thinking about this idea of the way that we even talk about. So, I've been heavily focused the last few minutes on animals who we live with. What about animals that people eat? Um, I mean, think about it. So, chickens, people do call, a meal chicken. And I know that lamb is also called lamb. But what about everything else? You know, Nobody says they're sitting down to a dinner of cow flesh or cow. People say they're eating steak or whatever other name for the different cut or whatever it is that they're eating. Like, why is that? Is it because people have to really separate what it is that they're eating? If we had to call animals what they are, would less people eat them? What do you think? I'm curious. I mean, people do I guess people eat chicken and they call it that. They eat chickens and they call chicken that. So maybe it doesn't matter. But this also had me thinking about even phrases or idioms that are animal focused. And the first time I remember hearing a better version of one, I was listening to a talk by my favorite Buddhist monk, Ajahn Brahm. You've heard me mention him before if you've seen a few of these episodes. He's based out of the Buddhist Society for Western Australia, and he does live talks on Friday nights. Well, the society has these live Dharma talks every Friday night, and he does most of them if he's not traveling or on retreat. And I remember him talking about, yeah, Susan, that's a really good point. Cognitive dissonance is required for most people to eat animals, and it's thousands of years old. Yeah. Seems like it's going to be a bit difficult to break for some people, huh? The first time, and by the way, hi Susan, thank you for being here. Um, the first time I heard Ajahn Brahm talk about he said that someone had said to him um about killing two birds with one stone, and he didn't like that. He said, "Oh, we shouldn't say that. That's so violent." And like we're just talking about, being efficient in getting something done. Why would we talk about murdering animals um, in order to be like, yeah, we got that done pretty efficiently and effectively? So he said, "How about you cut two carrots with one knife?" And I really love that. Um, and it made me smile to think that these standard sayings that we have here, like we don't have to keep saying them, and there are creative ways around uh I don't know, like humans, we love cliches and we love having these little sayings, I guess. So it was really neat to hear like another version of that. And I actually I did some Googling, and I'm not gonna run through all of them. And I actually have a few that I've heard in my own life that I don't see another version for. So I'd love it if anyone watching has some suggestions. I'll let you know what those are. But one that really stands out a lot is there are multiple ways to skin a cat. It does, right, Susan? Sorry, I'm reading Susan's comment and not putting it up there. It does, it changes the perspective, like, you were killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Yikes. But we're cutting 2 carrots with 1 knife, like, "Oh, dinner's gonna be ready soon." It really has a different feel to say, those 2 phrases. It really does change that perspective. So another one is there's more than one way to skin a cat. And that is makes me really uncomfortable just to even say it. And it's really upsetting to think about. So I'm not going to say it again. but but I saw one of the responses. PETA actually has a website that was the first thing that popped up with like a bunch of different options, and I'm sure we can find and come up with some of our own as well. So don't judge don't judge where I pulled this from. But their response to that one is, how about there's more than one way to peel a potato? Yeah. So we could do that. One that this one was cute. You're going on a wild goose chase. Yikes. How about you're out chasing rainbows? So it means the same thing, right? But we don't have to scare, or we don't have to frighten animals in order to in order to do that. We don't have to chase geese. We can chase rainbows. um and then this was cute. So another one about cats, right? Thanks, Susan. um Let the cat out of the bag. Like, that's really upsetting to think about too. Why are you putting a cat in a bag? Don't do that. That's not Don't do that. But we can spill the beans instead. Um, and like I know that this might even feel cheesy, but like Susan said, when we change the words that we're using in these phrases, which are so common. You know how often people in like corporate America utter these phrases? Yeah, but we can really change the energy and the way people think about animals, because I guarantee you the next time you say, "I'm gonna cut 2 carrots with 1 knife," instead of the bird one, like the person who's never heard that before, they're gonna think about it. And maybe they'll even be like, I wonder, if they don't ask you outright, um, they might even like I wonder why Kimberly said that. Like, isn't the phrase about birds? Why would she talk about, carrots and knives? Maybe they'll start like thinking. Maybe they'll ask me. That's what I would hope. The one that's really been bugging me, so for you guys who are watching, let me know if you have, an idea for this one because I haven't come up with one yet, but I've heard quite a lot lately. We don't need to boil the ocean. And like the imagery that comes up in my head whenever I hear this phrase is horrific. And I haven't figured out how to approach maybe using a different phrase. What the person means is like, let's not try to tackle everything at once. Okay. So we could also say that. Yeah, right, Susan? I'll go back to your next comment, but yes. Oh no. Why are we boiling the ocean? Oh my gosh, do you know how many species we're murdering by boiling the ocean? Don't say that. But do you have another way to say that? I haven't come up with it yet. I guess we could just say like, let's not try to do all that right now. Let's pick one thing. Can we do one thing? We start with one thing. Maybe that's it. Maybe we just say, let's start with one thing instead of talking about boiling 80% of the Earth's surface. But yes, Susan, words have power and they carry energy and they do imprint on our psyches. And we can see that in the way that, I mean, if anyone questions this and they don't, yes, let's focus. Focus. I love it, Susan. Thank you. But going back to this, I would say if anyone is thinking like, no, like words don't really matter, because I know there are people that feel that way. It's not a big deal. People know what you mean, like all of that. Just think about a time in your life when you were talking to yourself either really badly, really negatively, really putting yourself down, or where you really like believed in yourself and you knew you could do it. Think about how different those 2 times in your life were. And the difference is the way you're talking to yourself. So if you think about how you show up every day and the words that you use when you talk to yourself and how powerful that can be. We live, humans are tribal and we live in communities, and it is important as a human species to come together and work together. It's kind of like our whole thing. We all need to be loved and supported. And when someone says words that are hurtful, they are hurtful. And we can feel that. We can feel the energy of the words that people use. So it does apply when we're, blurting out these cliches, these idioms, these phrases that we've heard maybe our whole lives. If you're around people who love to use these things, like you've probably heard these and many more. But but we need to find a better way to talk about this and to use words that don't inflict harm on other beings. And that's exactly what all of these phrases do. They normalize us mistreating other beings. That's what this comes down to. You watch like sitcoms, right? And a recent example, not from a recent show, but a recent example of a show that I was watching is they were talking about like getting goldfish from like the state fair or things like that, and how like, oh, such a pain, like these goldfish, like they only live a couple days anyway, like just flush them when you get home and like tell your kids that they died overnight or something. And it's like, oh, isn't that hilarious? Like, oh, what a pain in the ass that my kid has this goldfish they won and now I have to take care of it for a week, and I'll just, flush them and tell them that they died. Like, or in movies, like I'm thinking about My Blue Heaven, that just came to me. I love that movie. However, you know, Joan Cusack's character, she's drinking because she's stressed out and she's cleaning up the dishes, and she puts the kid's turtle, into the sink. And then she just goes to the pet store and she's gonna buy a new turtle. And like that is so common in television and movies where there's like, oh no, the dog got out, we can't find the dog, or the cat got out, we can't find the cat. Well, we'll just get a new cat. Kids won't know. What does it matter? Cats are cats. And so we normalize the way that animals are represented in our lives and are treated in our lives, and it comes down to the way that we talk about them. So the language around animals is significant, and we really should be super mindful of how these phrases and these actions show up. I think that it would just be amazing if we could get in that habit of replacing language that way. And when we speak about animals, that we speak about them with the respect that they deserve as other sentient beings on this planet. And we're not using them in an exploitative way even when we're speaking. Another one, take the bull by the horns. So to, tackle something fearlessly, handle something fearlessly. The suggestion here is take a flower, it should be rose, take a rose by the thorns. So scary, could be painful. Also, not exploiting an animal. You're just picking up a rose, you can hurt yourself if you grab the stem if it has thorns, right? The thorns haven't been cut off. So maybe that's another one. But we get that focus away from animals that are being harmed by our language. I don't know. That's my 2 cents. That's all I've got. Thank you, Susan, so much for your interaction today. And thank you, everyone else who has checked in, stopped by. I really appreciate having you here. That's right. It's part of making conscious decisions in all that we do, step by step. That's what this is. That's what this life is. Just being human is making decisions every day. How can we make our lives better? And if you ask me, how we do that is by making the world a kinder place. And the world means in our own homes, in our families, in our extended families, in our communities. And as we do that, it spreads and it goes and it touches every corner of the world. So that's a pretty big thing. And we all have the power to do it every single time we make a choice and we make a decision, one by one. You don't have to think about the huge picture. It's every time you're about to say one of these idioms, put it in your brain. I'm going to say something different this time. I'm not going to use that. And, the first couple times you'll mess up, you'll still say it. And then you'll be like, oh, I said that thing again. And I didn't mean to say the thing about the birds. I wanted to talk about the carrots and the knife. And it'll happen. Eventually you'll replace it. Just keep working at it. It's important. The animals appreciate it. All right. Well, thank you. I'll be back here next Monday, and we are going to talk about the new year. So we'll see about that, huh? Thank you, as always, for being here. I love it. It's an honor to be here doing this work, to have this conversation. Yes, awareness. Thank you, Susan. 100%. Just be aware and be mindful and keep making those kind choices for yourself, for the animals, the planet. Thank you, Susan. All right. Well, you can follow me on Instagram or Facebook at Did You Bring the Hummus? If you have questions, if you have a topic you want me to talk about, if you have a question that you don't want to post in the comments, but you'd like for me to address in a future show, you can send me a message through either of those social medias, or you can go to the Virtual VegFest Fireside Chat website and you can click on send me a message and you can do it there as well. Thank you so much. If you are celebrating a holiday tomorrow or later this week, enjoy it. And if you're not, enjoy your week anyway. I will see you on Monday. Thank you so much for being here. Good night.